Season's greetings to you and your loved ones. May this Christmas be your healthiest to date. The Christmas cheer is infectious here at the Wellness Couch, and we've put together one very special hamper for one very special Wellness Coucher. One lucky person who registers for any Wellness Basecamp event in 2019 will win a wellness hamper including a selection of primal alternative Christmas baked treats to enjoy on Christmas Day, 2 jars of bone broth from our good friends at Tone Made, that's 1 beef and 1 chicken, and a VIP upgrade to the Wellness Basecamp you're attending, including front row seats, dinner with the speakers, and a whole lot more. Valued at over $400, this wellness hamper could be yours when you register for the Wellness Basecamp in Fremantle, Newcastle or Auckland. All the details are at thewellnessbasecamp.com, and all you need to do is get your tickets before the stroke of midnight on Sunday, December 16. Happy, healthy Christmas to you from all of us here at the Wellness Couch.
TheWellnessCouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives.
Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, featuring your hosts Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is When Your Parenting Toolkit is Asking You for More. And it comes off the back of a pretty intense, anxiety-ridden week for my eldest daughter, which I haven't told Bridget about yet, because I said to her, no, it's better when you just hear the story first time round. Before we do that, I'd love to invite you to jump on to nourishingthemother.com.au and sign up to join our tribe. Once a week, we'll send you off an email that wraps up everything we've put in the world, and you can pick and choose where you'd love to dive deeper. So nourishingthemother.com.au and drop in your email address to join our Nourishing the Mother tribe.
Tell us the story.
Okay, so you may recall that I think it was at the start of this year, my son went through some pretty intense stuff with working up to doing school captain speeches. Well, they've changed the rules, and this time they're doing school captain speeches the year before, which I think is an excellent idea because it actually then means everybody cruises into the start of the year rather than it being kind of on pause and in this weird space. So it's now my eldest daughter's turn, and she has decided that she wants to be school captain. And she's in a cohort, like my son, a cohort of really gorgeous, beautiful girls or children in general.
Kids.
Yeah. And so this week, actually it's been probably about the last 2 weeks, her behaviour's been a bit off the Richter and a bit, I don't know, I just feel like I've spent a lot of time reprimanding, pulling her up, going, what the heck is going on here? What's going on with you? What's happening here? You know, and trying it from different kind of prodding points, but I wouldn't say I felt like I'd landed it.
And were you feeling like generally irritated by her, like by the behaviour?
Yeah, and I guess I was a bit like cat-like watching her, you know, like what's coming next, and I saw that, and what's going on with you? And then, I have the voices of the community around me, which are, well, she's hormonal.
Yeah.
Which I fucking hate.
Such a cop-out. I
know. I'm like, yeah, but it's not the hormones. Like, I hadn't connected the dots yet. This is kind of reframing my last couple of weeks. And I even had so many conversations with my husband where I'm like, what the actual? Like, what is going on here? And she's usually my one that will drop into a heart space fairly readily, will, have a sob and a cry and talk to me about what's going on. And she was stonewalling and not going anywhere near me. And, almost in fuck you defiance, keeping me locked out of her internal world.
Wow.
Which was very my son-esque. And I was thinking in my head back to when he was 11, I was like, yeah, we went through a tough time with him when he was 11. And so I'm thinking, yeah, okay, this could be part of hormones. This could be just another transition, right? Because we're all in transition. She's transitioning up into grade 6 and, stuff going on. And so I thought, okay, I'll just keep being there, Anyway, so this week it has been worse. and culminated in yesterday afternoon, just like she was ping-ponging off her siblings, which is always for me such a sign because siblings are just such an easy, fantastic target to get your shit out, aren't they? And so when one of my kids is literally ping-ponging off of every single one else, I'm like, what is going on? Like, you know, and oh gosh, I can't even think right now what she'd done. She'd done so many things and I had just been growling at her all afternoon. And I wish I could remember right now. My mind's blanking. Anyway, it all culminated in, you know, I've told her off and we've had discussions and, you know, I've grounded her and all of this stuff. And then she turns around because we were doing Christmas cards and they look at I have these Christmas book, school age books that I've made them. And so she had her class photo in there. So she's ticking off names as she's writing her Christmas cards. And I finished was it bathing? I think bathing my youngest, and I turn around and she's stabbing one of her portrait pictures, like stabbing it with a pen.
Of herself?
Of herself.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, because on one hand, there's part of me that's angry, like, how dare you? I spend so many hours on this thing. And then this other part of me that's like, why are you making it about you? What is she doing stabbing the picture of herself?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
you've got this wrestle going on.
And so in the split second that I saw that and that's happening in my head, I just said to her, I can't even look at you right now. And I need you to go into your room while I calm down and I will come and talk to you. And in my head, as I'm saying it, I'm hating on myself because I'm like, you're pushing her away. You're shutting the door on her. You're doing exactly the words that your mother said to you. And at the same time, I'm aware I don't in that moment have the space to meet her where she needs me to meet her. So the safest thing actually is for me to do what I need to do to calm down in a safe way so that I can actually meet her where I want to meet her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get her sisters sorted-ish. You know, they're still running around before bed and I'm thinking I'm not exactly sure how this is going to roll. And I go into her and try the usual sort of stuff, you know, calming my own internal space, being the barometer for how I would wish her to feel in this moment and, you know, talking, you know, what's going on for you because this isn't like you and, you know, I'm wondering what's happening below the surface and, you know, I'm wondering if there's stuff happening with friends or at school or, you know, I'm just getting nothing or stonewalling or nothing, you know, worse than nothing. And I was thinking, oh, my God. And, you know, try talking to her, you know, in so many different ways in my normal kind of hearty kind of way. And I was getting worse than nowhere. And I was just thinking.
And how are you dealing with that?
Oh, God. I was feeling completely defeated, honestly. Like I was, like I'm scraping the bottom of my toolkit.
Were you feeling angry or triggered or were you just
defeated?
Just defeated. Yeah.
Just defeated and lost. I was just thinking, I don't even know. I mean, I don't know about our listeners or about you, Bridge, but my husband's not the one who's normally going to have the answers. So if I don't have the answers, this isn't going anywhere.
Where do I go from here?
Yeah, right.
I actually feel like it can be a terrifying place.
It's kind of terrifying.
When you get to that point, you're like, fuck, I don't actually have anything left in my toolkit for this. Like this doesn't follow the script.
No, exactly. This doesn't follow the script. That's exactly how I felt. And I was like, whoa, okay. I've not been here before.
Yeah. Which depending on how we feel about change and about, you know, the unknown can be really challenging to be in.
Anyway, I keep moving around it and then eventually she cracks and she cries and she sobs and she says, I'm just really anxious about, nervous. I think she might have said nervous. I'm really nervous about the school captain speeches and out come the tears. So I just let the tears sit and be and I reflect it back to her, you know, all our normal sort of stuff. And I'm trying to get to what's below that. So before I want to spin off into, you know, okay, what's your worst case scenario was where I tried, well, she doesn't get anything because all of the other girls are so much better than her. And so what's the point in even trying was kind of where her train of thought was going.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm going, okay, great. I can totally get what's going on here now and I can see the last 2 weeks as being massive anxiety about this event. And so I was talking to her about anxiety and about showing up as she is with her full self, because you only can show up and do the best that you can do and let people see you, let people feel you. And when people see you and feel you, they love you. So you've got to give people the opportunity to see you and feel you, because they can't love you unless they do. So, you know, that's what this is. And feeling how you feel right now is still a gift. This is still your body saying, this is you getting ready, wanting something really badly. It's great that you really want this thing. And it's your body giving an alarm system saying, stop and pay attention. This is really important to me. I really want to do well here. And it's stopping your thoughts enough that it makes you concentrate and focus on it. So instead of getting lost in the feeling, I'm wondering if we can read your body as, this is an alarm system saying, pay attention, Jade, this is really important. How can we work really hard at this thing that I want to do really well at? That your body is your friend, not your enemy. You know, I'm talking to her about these sorts of things, which she got, but I still didn't feel like we were getting to the crux of it. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's beliefs. So this whole, you know, there's no point in trying because everybody's better than me thing. I said, okay, can you talk that out? Can you just like verbally just spew it out as if you were vomiting? Can you just like vomit all of your words out in your head? And she couldn't do it. So all of this, you know, stuff happening in her brain, she couldn't even tell me the thoughts that were happening in her head. Was that because
you think there might have been a shame blocker around
I think
it?
Possibly. Yeah, I think totally possibly. And so I was lying there completely, because I'm trying all these different ways just to get her to, I said to her, let's just throw it out like as if you were throwing it out on paper so we can look at it, because often when it's in your head, you think it's real. And then we throw it out on paper and we get to look at it and we go, okay, doesn't seem quite so real. No, she didn't like that. I was like, okay. So I'm trying all these different ways to get to the belief factor, right? And none of it was working. So I'm back to being defeated again. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing here. And then I just thought, okay, fuck it. I got a spark of inspiration. I thought, well, this is going one of two ways. Either this is literally going to break my child.
Yeah.
Or it's our salvation. It's a 50-50 split. So, you know, I was so resourceful. So I'm like, I'll take the gamble.
This is all I got.
This is all I got. And she loves drama, and I've been at a number of her drama classes, and Death in a Minute is her favourite scene, loves it. And so she's quite macabre in a way. And so I just decided to poke fun at all of the beliefs I knew were sitting in her head, but that she was too caught up in and shamed about to even blurt out. So I went like this. You're right, Jade. You're just so stupid, there's no point in trying. And you can't spell, so why even bother writing a speech, because you won't be able to read it. And you're right, you just suck, so don't turn up. In fact, it would be better if you just went and lived in the jungle with the monkeys and lived on bananas for the rest of your life, because that's way better than even turning up, because what is the point? You're not going to win. And everyone else is so much better. And so-and-so is so much smarter. So don't even bother. Why even bother? And you've got such terrible leadership skills, you should not even bother turning up. And she looked at me and she cracked up laughing and she went, exactly, that's what I'm saying. And I was like, I know. That's what I'm saying. Why even bother? She's like, I know. And I don't even speak English. I speak unicorn. So what's even the point in speaking? And I was like, I know. Unicorns poo rainbows. How could you even stand there and poo rainbows? And she's like, I know. I'm just going to eat a peanut and jump in a peanut shell and ride the rainbow and never come back. You know, like, and we were just going for about 15 minutes. We did this monologue of almost one-upmanship in how crap she is and how ridiculous the whole situation is and why there's absolutely no point in her ever trying and not turning up at all. No point at all. And we sat there poking the most macabre, ridiculous fun at it in what was almost like this mini drama kind of, you know, impromptu thing. And she could not stop laughing.
Isn't that fantastic?
She could not stop laughing. And I couldn't stop laughing. And the more we're laughing and the more macabre we're being, the more I'm thinking in my head and my whole body is shifting. I'm thinking, fuck, you're awesome. Like, you are just, I even said to her, you are such a weird kid. And she just like goes, I know. And I thought, I've been the weird kid. I get that. You know, she's off the beaten track, and she is. She's a little out there. And here we were being completely out there, voicing and poking fun at all of the shit she thought was so wrong and laughing about it till it was so ridiculous it wasn't even part of reality anymore. And she got to the end of that about 15 minutes, and her dad had walked in. He'd gotten home from work by that point, and he walked in. He could see, you know, there was something going on. And I just looked at him and I brought him into it, and I said, Jade, there's no point in her even bothering to do this school captain speech because she's not going to win. No chance, not even a little bit. So there's literally no point in her even trying. In fact, she's going to run away and not even bother going because there's no point. And he saw the fun and he jumped in on it.
That's awesome.
And so then the three of us were doing it. And by the end of all of that, she took a great big breath. And I said, and you know what? You just have to give him some of that. Some of that. Some of Jade that says, this is who I am and I don't need to be someone else. And you need to let people see you. And either you're going to feel the way you think you are, or one of your friends will, and you'll know exactly how they feel. And either way, this is going to be okay. What's important is you show up as you, not as someone you think you should be, not as someone else in the class, as you. Be this. And she completely changed her speech.
Wow.
Completely changed it.
Because she realised that she wasn't authentic at all before. She was doing what she thought she should do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was yesterday. So tonight I was late to come into Bridges because she was just giving us a show. We were just talking about how to bring her body online and, you know, how to sit in her own space and how to breathe from her belly.
Cool.
And she's showing up and she's having a go and she's fairly sure she's not going to make it, but she's doing it anyway. She's showing up.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
So much courage in that. Particularly courage,
So much courage.
you know, knowing that you probably won't make it, or you might not make it.
Yeah.
But it's okay just to show up and be in it.
To show
be
up.
you.
Yeah. To show up as you, even when it hurts, you know? And I just thought, I got to school this morning and I said to one of my friends, you know how you have those friends that make the shitty stuff funny all the time? Do you have those friends?
Yeah.
I have a friend like that and my sister's like that. And I always used to judge it and be like, oh, you can't be like, where's the seriousness and all of the space for tears? And they'd just like joke about it. And I so get the wisdom in it now, the genius in it. And I said to her, golly gosh, I tried on a bit of you last night. And here's what happened. And I think my kid's a little different to me because I was approaching her the way that I would want to be approached. And actually, she's someone completely different. And yet I'd always thought she was the most like me. And the older she's getting, the more opportunities I'm having to separate my identity from hers because she's not me. And I don't know why that's so profound, but it feels profound because I think particularly when they're little, you see so much of you. You look for you. Here's how she looks. Oh, I did that. Oh, that's what I used to wear.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this photo of me. Or your mum or your dad or whoever says, oh, you were just like that. You know, and perhaps when they're littler, they respond in the, you know, they respond in the way that you've taught them to respond. And so they seem like little versions of you. And then they get older and the struggle comes when we expect them to be like us because they're not. And I think that's part of the gift of this, you know, very intricate separating. And those moments still shock me. And this moment still shocked me. This moment where I still got this glimpse of who she was, and she was someone completely different to me and someone who I adored.
And you're finding almost new opportunities to meet her.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have to, because she's actually different to me. She actually needs something other than what I know how to do naturally. And
bringing out the shadows for her is a totally different way than what you would do it for you.
So this is really interesting because now I realise when she's in her inverted commas teenage funk, there's a different way to approach her. Just like there's a different way to approach my son. And I've learnt that now and we fairly cruise with it. But I hadn't learnt that with her yet. And so when your toolkit stops working, sometimes you've just got to leap off the ledge, you know, and let go of all of the stuff that you've read and you've learnt and just follow who your child is.
I think that really calls us to see more of them unadulterated through the lens of us, you know, which is what you're saying too. It's like, can you look beyond your filter here? Can you look beyond your projection here? How much can you really see them in this moment? Because we so often look at them through our narrow view of either who we think that they should be or who we have previously decided that they are, you know, based on the identity that we've formed of them. And it's in some ways kind of brave to be willing to completely be surprised and delighted and challenged by the real them who they're trying to always show us. But whether we can see that is another thing.
Yes. And I loved it. Like in hindsight, I loved it. It was like one of those high five parenting moments where I was like, that was awesome. And parenting doesn't have to be as hard and grindy as we think it was. It was actually really fun.
And, you know, what a great way for you to actually release a lot of the tension that you obviously would have been holding too.
Yes.
Through that laughter.
Well, through total truth bombs.
Yeah.
And so much truth, well, truth in inverted commas, right? So much truth pointing at what the beliefs were that you point at them till you realize how ridiculous they are.
Yeah.
You know?
And in doing that you provide her clarity because you're wading through humor all of the rubbish that's in her head.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And we get to just live a fantasy in that moment of what she'd really like to do instead. And we play it out. I played it right out till she, you know, had no clothes left and no food to eat. And we were still laughing about it.
That's great.
Oh, it was so great. And it just made me realize how often we need to have these opportunities to meet our kids where they're at, to have a toolkit for ourselves. Because if I didn't know how to bring myself in, I couldn't have invited her into that. And all she needed was someone to hold her hand while she took the leap because she couldn't do it on her own in that moment. She just needed help past what she thought was too shameful to say. And to make more safe, right? To make more shadow safe. Instead of being so light and lovely and golden.
You know, and instead of falling, you know, not that, you know, you or I particularly do this, but instead of falling in that habit of, you know, try kindly doing it, but trying to dismiss what they're feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, no, you'll be fine and you've done so much work and you'll be great. You know, and what that does is negate their experience and negates exactly where they're at and tells them that what they're feeling is not really to be indulged and to shove it down.
Yeah, totally.
And so this is just a new way of giving voice to that.
Totally.
And that looks different at every different age and with, you know, different children.
Yes.
It's how we, you know, because our kids are dealing with stuff all of the time and it doesn't, you know, like they can't, particularly the younger that they are, they can't tell us what's going on. Right? A lot of adults can't, you know, we often can't even articulate our own stuff that's going on. And so children are so wonderful in that, you know, their behaviour shows us.
Yeah. And that's what I kept thinking too is your behaviour is not you, right? It's all just a signpost, like your body speaking to you about, hello, this is important. So is behaviour.
Yeah.
So I could label her as hormonal and wipe it off as, teenage girl.
And just, you know, create.
Even my husband goes, oh, weren't you like this when you were that age? And I was like, well, I'm sure I was because all I ever got told was what a bitch I was.
Yeah.
But that's not the experience I want for my child. So I need to move past myself wanting to box her into being just a hormonal bitch and get back on to what is going on here. Because I could have stopped there.
And you will be surrounded by so many parents who would simply accept that that's how it is, because there's a lot of parenting in inverted commas experts who will quite happily tell you that, oh yeah, just write kids off for a few years. Like I think there's one book, it's called like Princess Bitch Face or something. And like that is not helpful, I don't think, because how do we see them for who they really are if we're so happy to label it?
And we're not seeing behaviour for the signpost that it is in those scenarios.
No.
Anyway, that's my rant.
And it's the same for, I think it's easy to get in that same trap with, toddler years and, preschool challenges and all of them, right? Like, and you won't be short of people who happily commiserate with you and agree with you in that challenge. And sure, we have our moments there, but they're not places that we want to stay, because we don't want to build an identity for our child that becomes self-fulfilling, that they are moody or, rude or thoughtless or disrespectful or whatever label that we continues to show up for us in their behavior. That's the tip of the iceberg likely for what's going on underneath. And it's about, how do we stay with this that feels uncomfortable for us to witness and to feel? How do we stay with it long enough to understand what's below it? Because that's when we get the gold. And that's when we're able to, as you're doing, equip our children with, a profound opportunity to really, carry with them a self-awareness into their adulthood that, a lot of adults really don't have, that many people in their middle age are trying to reconnect with, because they became so disconnected because nobody else around them could really witness them and see them. It's a true gift to really see our children.
Have you been in a space recently where you have wanted to upskill your toolkit?
Yeah, well, I think I'm in it a lot at the moment. So for those who haven't seen Facebook or Instagram, I'm pregnant with my third, which is really, really exciting.
How pregnant are you?
I'm 14 weeks. So I'm just coming out of feeling pretty sick all day. And through that, through the growing into the choice, first of all, to have a third, and then, my body changing and my, what comes with pregnancy, everything changing emotionally, physically, mentally, has been, the transition that we're inevitably beginning to make the moment that we conceive that child, the moment that we, I felt so clearly as soon as I knew I was pregnant that I'm already mothering 3. I'm already there. I already feel like I'm being called there. And so what that looks like is, wow, how do I navigate this? How do I meet my children's needs and see them, but also really see me and know my boundaries and know what I need to mother the way that I want to mother, at the same time as nurture my relationship, look after myself, and all of those things. And so, yeah, like I hit edges probably with my son the most. So I find I find toddlerhood like not that hard really. Like I don't know, it's not. I really quite. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a good space with my daughter at the moment, but certainly a 5.5-year-old.
I think they go in roundabouts though.
Yeah, and I'm sure because I'm perceiving him hard, I see her as easy.
Yeah,
and then
it'll flip.
It'll flip.
Yeah,
and it's going to.
They kind of take it in turns.
Yeah, and so yeah, for him, it's for me like the boisterousness and probably I want to put it in inverted commas like the defiance. His growing sense of self and sovereignty and resistance, therefore, to some of the things that I want from him is interesting for me because it's the very thing I want for him, but sometimes the very thing we want for our children, which is their own voice, their own strong sense of self, their own sense that we support their autonomy and respect them, can be the very things that are deeply triggering for us to hear back from them.
Well, we want those things because we perceive we were without them.
That's right.
So they are painful in their very manifestation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's, super like where I've found myself a lot more lately, and it's for me really having to bring out of the shadows more parts of myself that I thought I wasn't. Like I didn't think I was that controlling, for example. And I'm like, fuck, I'm really controlling. Like, why? Like, you know, and I'm seeing.
You have such a label of controlling.
I think I must, yeah. I don't like. I'm kind of anti-authority, so like, so the whole controlling thing for me is a hard one to really be okay with. And so that's, you know, that's an interesting one because of course when you try to control someone, you're naturally going to create resistance to the control. And so it's definitely an upskilling in communication skills, right?
Yeah.
And in getting things, it's like a classic, I think it's sometimes it's like management 101, like, you know, even getting things done through people. It's like, how do I get my children to do what we need to get done sometimes as a family.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's the mirror always back to ourselves, I find in parenting so profound. Because it's not only that, but it's also laying down boundaries that keep them held and I really feel like them, especially as they grow, like the more that they feel held by boundaries, there's an almost security in that. And
that's the thing, if we're not certain, if we're uneasy in some way, maybe we're uneasy about our boundaries, is it okay? Isn't it okay? Should be, shouldn't I? Are they going to be okay in their response? Is this, which way are we going? The children pick up on that uneasiness because we're mirroring each other, right? So they pick up on our internal unease with our boundary. And so they then reflect the unease through behaviour, which might be defiance or it might be whinging, whining, clinging.
Yeah.
And then it reaffirms for us the very belief that we entered thinking uncertain thoughts about. Do you know what I mean? Like, so then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And so I find that so interesting. I also find that kids will push that uneasy edge when it's not a clear edge. If we're fuzzy with it, they'll keep pushing that trigger until they work out exactly what the boundary is and they feel safe in that. Because you're safe when you know where you are, what the expectations are, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You're unsafe when you think about when you walk into a new environment and it's intimidating. You don't know what it is. You don't know where you're supposed to be. You don't know what your place is here, where different things are. That's what they are, only it's in your world where you feel like it's okay. And I just think that we are often not congruent enough in our boundaries of, you know, actually this is a line and that's not okay. And we see their weakness, not their strength in handling that. Because I think kids, give them a truth, I'm pretty sure they'll roll with that truth. But when we are uncertain, unclear, we let it roll over and then we get to the point of triggered because we didn't listen to our boundary back here. I think we all end up in a pretty uncomfortable place.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, you know, the boundary is that point at which you're about to lose yourself. And so if you haven't listened and paid attention to how you feel in your body and to where you're feeling that your own kind of pressure cooker is building, that's when we get the explosions. That's when we, you know, get into the blame game with our children. That's when we lose where we wanted to be. And, you know, I think you see so brilliantly with toddlers how much they're looking for the holding. Like they're looking for the, you know, it's like the confidence, the confident leader.
Yeah, and I think that's often it. We're too worried about the outcome of what will happen when we say no. Yeah,
and I have noticed that a lot too lately, thinking about, like I'm putting some things in here at the moment, like some things that she's not liking. And I have to almost parent myself to go, it's okay if she doesn't like it. Like, and I'm okay to listen to those feelings of her not liking it. But this is it. And even like both kids today were both losing their shit at the same time. I'm like, it's okay. You can cry for half an hour if you both need to do that, but I'm not changing my mind. This is our situation. It's hard. I get it. But I don't need to fix it. I think if we get stuck in the pattern of needing to fix their thing, then...
Well, it's uneasy. We're saying to them, that feeling's not okay, so don't go there, don't experience it. I'll help you move out of it and I'll cajole you and I'll make fun and I'll play a game and we'll distract and it'll be okay, you know, I'll fix it, I'll hand you this thing. We're still saying to them, this feeling isn't okay.
Yeah.
And it's not safe for you to be here. Versus, you get that feeling sometimes. you're getting that feeling right now when I've said no to this. Yeah, because you really wanted that. Yeah. I just think it's a completely different place to be.
But at the same time, like, you know, I always love to emphasize, you know, you and I, for all of these great stories we might have of where we have like had these amazing moments, we have like a host of stories where we like don't.
Oh, totally.
And I remember even today, like when I originally set this limit, I was like, I heard myself say, I wish I hadn't have even told you the first time that we could have done it. You know, because you know, he was just losing his shit that we now couldn't go somewhere that I'd said we could have gone. And I was like, wow. And I was thinking, I've said that because I don't really want to hear this right now. So I was like, I wish I didn't even tell you that this is a possibility. But
how interesting you can just recognize you didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
So you were going to placate it here, and then you realized I'm actually not okay with that.
Yeah. So I stayed with it, but like that non-thinking reaction was like, oh, like,
yeah, I get that.
You know, like that's because we still want to do that sometimes. We still really want to avoid the pain.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
The pain in the form of their big meltdown when we really can't hold it.
Yeah, totally.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so, you know, sometimes we will like not hold it. But, you know, ultimately it's like, okay, all feelings are okay here. So we're just going to stay with them. We're just going to allow them to be. I don't have to fix it. Just don't have to. And that goes for ourselves too, right? Like how okay can we be when we're feeling like that instead of trying to change it or trying to like gratitude our way out of something.
Yeah, yeah.
What if you could actually make
or saying, but it's okay because I'm not as bad as.
Yeah, the good old like comparison on a negative like way. And what I love so much about just verbalizing this stuff and hashing it out here, like this, I guess, mirroring each other's stories in various ways, is how powerful that kind of reflective aspect can be. Because that's how we begin to know our patterns and our children's patterns and the dynamics that play out in the family and how everyone is kind of helping each other grow and shift. And we get new levels of awareness and tools through looking at that, but also amazing opportunities to appreciate the function of it, even when it feels like super icky and dysfunctional, you know?
Totally. So, which reminds me, we've got Aligned Parenting, our next live round coming up in February. So if you are really interested in diving into your family dynamics, what's happening within your mothering and parenting dynamic, perhaps mirroring and upskilling your toolkit, then we'd love to invite you into Aligned Parenting, which you can check out online, which is nourishingthemother.com.au/online programs. And we would love to have you along with us. It is a really intimate tribe and we definitely are interested in parenting. It lights us up. Yeah. And we love, you know, just talking about dynamics and what's going on. And sometimes you just need a tribe too.
And there's just like all of our courses, that the power in that group working together and really
hashing out philosophies and concepts, but then applying them to your own.
And everyone gains so much from everybody else's stories. Like it's really, really rich.
Totally. So please check it out at nourishingthemother.com.au.
And connect with us, Nourishing the Mother, on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep. Please email us, message us if you have a question or if you have a podcast suggestion. We do love to answer questions for the podcast. It helps us stay more relevant.
It does.
So you've done Instagram and Facebook, haven't you?
I have. To connect with you, Jules.
ThePleasureNutritionist.com.
And me is SuburbanSandcastles.com. Remember to nourish the woman to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.